What's going on, everyone? It's time for the pandemic update video for Friday, April 7th, 2023. Here's today's pandemic update. We actually have no new COVID positives to report on today and no COVID outbreaks to report on. It's the first day we haven't had a COVID positive to report on in some time. But, as you know, I always find stuff, and last night I found a whole bunch of new COVID studies that were just released. And the link to the website my website will be down below, where I have archived them. And I'm just going to read off a couple of these to you that I find rather interesting. First off, this headline says, High air pollution hits COVID vaccine response, study finds. So, if you live in an area that has high pollution and is normally polluted, bad air quality, they're finding that the vaccine is actually less effective in those areas. I don't know whether it's because when you have high pollution plus testing positive for COVID, it's harder for the body to handle the infection because of the pollution. You're coughing more. It's bad for the lungs. So it's possibly. You'll have to read the whole study. I only just read bits and pieces of it. And here's one here. Around 40% of long COVID patients have sleep issues, studies show. Guess what? I'm one of those 40%. I never had to go to a sleep doctor before COVID. I actually have done a sleep study. I've done the at-home sleep study twice, and hopefully results come back this time, or else I'm going to have to do it in a lab. And my issue is, generally in the middle of the day, I just have a loss of energy. And a lot of people have that issue. However, some people have it where they can no longer sleep at night because maybe they're worried about the pandemic, or maybe things have changed with their mind. Remember, COVID can attack the brain. There's a whole slew of different issues that can cause people to have sleep issues, and now we're seeing here 40% of long COVID patients now have this. And it just goes on here. Study sheds new light on the spread of COVID-19 in households. That was a rather interesting one. Specific proteins in the blood may help predict which COVID-19 patients will become critically ill. So that's really interesting. So you can check these out here. They are up on my website. I like to archive these things. That was the whole principle behind starting my website. I want to archive everything. The COVID studies, the positive cases, the COVID outbreaks, and the other viruses as well, like H5N1, measles, flu, mysterious illnesses, anything. I try and archive all of this. That way it is on the website. We can access it. If someone questions, well, it doesn't, wait, you can go back to my website and you can check that out. And there's proof here that yes, such and such does happen or can happen. All right, now we move on to this day in COVID history, April 7th, 2020. Data from the Chicago Department of Public Health reported by the Chicago Turbine shows that despite being about 30% of the total population, black people accounted for 68% of the COVID-19 related deaths in Chicago and are dying of COVID-19 at nearly 6 times greater than that of white Chicagoans, who account for about 33% of the population and approximately 14% of the deaths. Yeah, this is a real problem, and it's not just in Chicago. It's happening all around the world. There's problems with different areas not getting enough vaccine. Like, there's a lot of poor countries, especially in Africa, that for whatever, they just can't get vaccine doses. And we should be giving out vaccine doses to poor countries for free. It shouldn't be a cost issue. Everyone deserves the right to be vaccinated, whoso should choose to be vaccinated. Also on this day, HHS announces $186 million in additional funding to state and local jurisdictions. This was back on April in 2020, on April 7th. All right, moving on to today's data portion of this update. Taking a look at the wastewater transmission map, not much has changed here. I don't think there has been any update since yesterday. Still low to moderate transmission across much of the eastern states and the northeast states. We do have a couple high areas in parts of Ohio, and there's one here that is red, which is really high. The rest of the Great Lakes is low to moderate with just a couple high areas. Nebraska, you still have your moderate to high transmission, which has been a problem for over a month now. California, a lot of sites are not reporting for some reason. Texas, you do have a lot of low sites, a couple moderate ones, and there is one high site as well. And that high site is down in McLean County, Texas. It's a fairly large site with 193,000 people under that sewer shed, but look here, it is starting to drop. Moving on to the CDC transmission map, 888 counties are at high transmission, 581 counties are at substantial transmission, 1,268 are at moderate transmission, 485 are at low transmission. We did our variant proportion update today. If you did not see that, that is the video prior to this one, and I'll try and maybe put it in here where it recommends it at the end of the video for those who have not seen it. But here's the national numbers. XBB 1.5, 88.3%. XBB 191, 5.1%. XBB 151, 2.4%. XBB 1.9%, and BQ 1.1, 1.4%. And yet again this week, the XBB 116 variant was not added. We know it already exists in multiple states in the United States. I honestly don't know what they're waiting for at this point. Alright, BNO update. This is yesterday's numbers. We're getting them today. It would not surprise me at some point this week, and maybe on Sunday, we get 0. Yes, a big fat 0 states to update on Easter. New cases from yesterday, 42,279. Average cases, 21,512. That's down by 12, so, I mean, that's good that it was down by 12, but it's, it's an undercount. It's ridiculous. States reporting, 24 out of 50. So we had a good number of states reporting yesterday. In hospital, 17,935. That only dropped by 107. In the ICU, 2,359. That's down by 27. New deaths, 592. Average deaths is at 325. That's up by 3. And unfortunately, that hospital number, I actually do know someone who's in the hospital with COVID right now. It's a neighbor, so yeah, COVID has hit my neighborhood, unfortunately, and who knows how many cases are lurking about out there. It is so underreported. It just drives me nuts, which is why we continue to do these videos every day. Though there may not be the data that there was several years ago before I started this channel, I try and get any bit of data out that I can find. So if you want to see pandemic updates every day, subscribe to this channel down below. I promise you, I'm going to continue doing this. Even if it gets down to there's like nothing left, we're going to continue to do this because, guys, folks, people need to be informed. We need to keep this going because eventually, I don't care how hard it takes, how long we have to wait. Eventually, we got to get people to see that, hey, COVID is still a pandemic. It's not the mild pandemic that you think it is. The neighbor that I have with COVID, they're in there for dehydration. What's the other thing? A severe headache. They have the Omicron variant, apparently. And they also have respiratory issues. So this is serious. They're saying that it's mild right now. No, it's not. This person is fully vaccinated. They did not have the booster, but they are fully vaccinated. So, yes, we need to continue on. And this is a serious pandemic. Alrighty, folks. Here's Center County, Pennsylvania. They did increase by 1 today. Why am I showing you a county in the middle of Pennsylvania? What does that provide you? Well, it shows what's going on in a county that has both a rural setting and an urban setting, because in the middle of that county is State College, Pennsylvania, where Penn State University is. So we can get the sense what's going on in a county that has two different tales. And it's pretty much been a back and forth theme here for many months. It goes down below 10, then it goes up to as high as 15 or 17. So we'll have to watch and see if Easter has any effect on this. All right, New York State. New York State had 793 cases in the last 24 hours. Test positivity is 2.2% today, 24 hours. And the 7-day average is 1.7%. Hospitalizations, I'm really surprised they updated today because it's Good Friday. Last year, I don't think they updated on a Good Friday. I'm not expecting to see them update anymore for the rest of the weekend, but who knows? You never know. 929 people are hospitalized. In the ICU, 105. Let's go to Walgreens. We didn't get much of an update out of Walgreens today. The national positivity is 24.1%. Prior week, 24.9%. That's a difference of down 0.7%. Total tests, 14,449. Prior week's testing was 17,427. And as I'm telling you here, we're not testing enough in this country. There's a lot of cases that are going missed. In fact, yeah, the people that I know that have tested positive as of recently, as far as I know, they tested positive either on an at-home test or the one case, they didn't know they had COVID till they ended up in the hospital. So, yeah, it's just ridiculous, and it's part of the reason why positivity in some states is just so high on the Walgreens level. Let's take a look at a few states, shall we? Here we go. Connecticut, 13.5%. That's an increase of 2.8%. Prior week, 10.7%. Pennsylvania, my state, 22.9%. Prior week, 13.3%. That is up by 9.6%. And yes, I can confirm Pennsylvania is definitely rising because all the positives I know right now are here in my state of Pennsylvania. West Virginia is rising. 23.8% this week, 14.3% last week. That is up by 9.5%. How about some states that are dropping? Here's one, Kansas. Kansas is rapidly dropping. 23.9% this week. Last week at this time, 41.7%. That's down by 17.8%. Texas is slightly rising, 26.4% this week, 25.8% last week. That is up by 0.6%. How about California? California is dropping, and California's been dropping since the winter surge, but we'll have to see if that trend gets reversed with the Easter holiday this weekend. 21.7 is the current week positivity. Prior week is 23%. That's down by 1.3%. And let's end it today on Florida. 27% positivity in Florida. 25.8% for the previous week. That's a difference of up 1.2%. All right, international COVID data. South Korea is now up 5%. Russia is down 15%. Japan is up 3% on cases. Down 30% on deaths. France cases are down 6%. Deaths are up 42%, so that's bad. India cases are up 94% still. Deaths are up 55%. Singapore is now up 96%. There is a rapid rise in Singapore. Not good. Deaths are down 100%, but that's because they didn't report any this week. Germany cases are down 31%, and deaths are down 6%. We'll have to see what happens in Germany, because the health official in Germany declared they defeated the COVID pandemic. Well, you're seeing me show all these deaths and cases. No, they haven't defeated the pandemic. Germany still had 572 deaths in the last 7 days, so no, there's still people dying there. They had, in the last 7 days, another 17,249 cases, which we know that's a significant undercount, so where they're getting this idea that they defeated the pandemic, it's just silly. And we'll do one last one to end. Greece, cases are down 63%, and deaths are down 33%. Alrighty. Until we meet again next time, stay safe. Do not test positive. You have heard me say personally that I know of people testing positive or in the hospital in my own area. So please continue to mask. It's very important to mask right now, especially going into the Easter holiday. If you're going to a gathering this weekend, please test beforehand. And if you're positive, stay home. All right? If you like the content on this channel, give it a subscribe. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. Until next time, stay safe, everyone.